this is Shelley Hughley with Southwest Farm Press, and joining me is Danielle Sekula. She is the Extension IPM agent in the Valley in Weslaco, correct?
Yes, I'm stationed out of Weslaco, but my appointments are for Hidalgo, Cameron, and Willacy counties. So I try to cover as much area as I can within those three counties in cotton and grain. We've been harvesting in and around the rain. I want to say harvest started probably very last week of June. It barely started, and then once we got into July, like last week, it was kind of like it was supposed to be like a full-blown week, but they kind of were stopped because of the rain and stuff. But they've been trying to harvest ever since I want to say the last week of June.
Okay.
So and more of it was harvested than what I thought. There's still quite a bit out there. Whatever stage of sorghum that they have, if they can just go by their field. Right now it's pretty muddy everywhere. And so if you can't physically get into your field, at least try to drive by it and kind of get down and be at along the field edges. And if you see a lot of glistening going on, then more than likely you have very high sugarcane aphid populations. The sugarcane aphids like to feed on the leaves, and they'll excrete a lot of sugars as they're feeding, so you'll get a lot of glistening. And that's what I'm seeing right now. Then what I noticed is those that are basically they're waiting a few days for it to dry up to get in there and harvest it. The leaves are drying up on the bottom, so that's kind of encouraging these sugarcane aphids to migrate on up to the sorghum head.
Okay.
And that's not good because they've already started. I've been seeing some pretty good populations on the mature sorghum heads. And once they start feeding on that head, again, they'll be excreting sugars, and it's just a matter of a few days before they start gumming up that sorghum head. And so that's not good, especially with the combine and the harvest equipment. So I've been encouraging growers, if you do see this and have populations, that they might want to go ahead and consider spraying to control prior to getting in there and harvesting to avoid equipment breakdown and whatnot. Mainly because of that, also because of yield loss. You know, I don't want them to lose anymore. But weeks there, it was kind of like rain on and off. It was pretty wet. And then starting off this July, like I said last week, we got anywhere from 8 to 12 inches. The majority of the valley down here, and that we were already really wet to begin with, so there was a lot of fields where there was just nowhere for that water to go. So we had a lot of standing water. Um, but yesterday I was out there and getting around, and I was happy to see, you know, that some of the guys were able to get some of their sorghum harvested, and it seemed like that there was quite a bit harvested before all that rainfall that took place last week on Tuesday, Wednesday, mainly. That kind of flooded us out for a little bit. And the other good thing is I've been getting in there and I saw a little bit of seed sprouting in Rio Hondo, East Harlingen area, basically towards the coast. But you know, once you get inland, I mean, I'm really not seeing that. Like I said, my main concern is I'm seeing more of sugarcane aphids, very present in high numbers. In fact, the most we've seen all season.
Okay.
Yeah, and had we not have had this rainfall, these guys would have not be facing that. Should I spray prior to harvest or not for sugarcane aphids? It would have been fine. You know, they would have been able to get it out of there, no problem. But unfortunately, with the rain and the heat and the humidity and stuff, we had a few. I mean, honestly, we had a few sugarcane aphids, and we've had a few throughout the whole season. But this is the kind of temperatures and environment that they thrive in. And I was waiting for this second peak, and I saw some present, you know, I want to say that first week of July, and I thought, okay, no big deal. And now what we're seeing is that peak, and we're at the peak right now. So eventually they will come down, and there's a lot of predators present and stuff, so that's going to help, along with the growers spraying, those who have to. I was in a few fields that Let's see, maybe booting stage that I didn't see any sugarcane aphids present yet, and so that's good. Really though, um, I want to say like the valley as a whole, they're there, and I'm picking up on them in several fields. But from time to time, I come across some fields where they're not there. So just I want to encourage growers just to go check their fields, whatever stage of sorghum that they have it right now. And some high populations of rice stink bugs and soft dough flowering sorghum. So if you got sorghum in that stage, best to go and check. You always take a beet bucket with you and beat the heads, and that will give you a good idea of like the worm count that you have, and the rice stink bugs. But if you have rice stink bugs in your field, from what I saw yesterday, you're either going to have a whole lot or none at all. So it should be very easy for them to pick up on it just with their eye. So as they walk through the field. No. This year is the lot of sorghum. Probably double the amount of what we've had in past years. The
Really?
past 2 or 3, yeah, because the last 2 to 3 years we were only averaging out at about 150,000 to 170,000 acres of sorghum. This year, I want to say we've got to have at least a good, I'm probably being modest, but there's got to be at least anywhere from 250,000 to 300,000 acres of sorghum out there. And that's just from visually, there's a lot of sorghum this year. The price was good. Uh, the conditions were pretty good, and prior to all this rain and it standing out there for a little bit prior to harvest, I mean, we just got gorgeous grain sorghum. Of course, the value of it is probably gonna go down or be degraded because there is some mold. Uh, you know, luckily, like I said, hardly seeing any sprouting down here. I know further on up the coast, they've been seeing a lot of sprouting, but down here, not just yet. So I'm happy about that. And just a lot of sugarcane aphids though. So those guys trying to get out what they have left, and those getting to that point, definitely do need to get into their fields this week. Even if it's muddy, they need to just walk the field margins. They'll know as soon as they drive up to their field, they'll know. And we got 3 products they can use, Savanto, Transform, and Safina as well. Those are all labeled for spraying to treat sugarcane aphids and sorghum. They need to check the labels and do what's best for them in that stage of sorghum. And, as far as efficacy, and they know how quickly they can get into their fields. So